dividing decimals. Our first example is 431.970 divided by 7.26. Let's rewrite this problem in the other division format. Okay? Now, the first step when dividing decimals is to take the decimal point on the outside and move it all the way to the right. So let's count how many places it'll take to get it all the way to the right. We have 1, 2. So 2 places to the right gets that decimal point all the way over to the right. But that means we have to move it 2 places to the right on the inside as well. So let's count. We have 1, 2. Okay? So what we do on the outside, we must do on the inside. So we moved it 2 decimal places over to the right on the inside as well. So we're now dividing 726 into 43,197.0. And let's place a decimal point above the decimal point on the inside. Okay? So you must place a decimal point right above the decimal point inside. And now let's divide. Let's divide 726 into 4,319. 726 goes into 4,319 5 times. Now I'm going to place the 5 above the 9 because I divided into 4,319. So I'm placing it above the last digit of the number that I divided into. So I divided into 4,319. 9 was the last digit of that number. So let's place our answer 5 above the 9. And let's continue. 726 times 5 is 3,630. And let's subtract. 4,319 minus 3,630 is 689. Now we'll bring down our 7. So let's divide. 726 goes into 6,897 9 times. And 726 times 9 is 6,534. Okay? So let's subtract. 6,897 minus 6,534 is 363. So let's bring down our 0. Okay? Now, 726 goes into 3,635 times. And 726 times 5 is 3,630. Our final answer is 59.5. Our next example is 15.96 divided by 3.8. And let's rewrite this problem. So we have 3.8 goes into 15.96. And the first step is to move the decimal point on the outside all the way over to the right. So we're going to move it 1 place over. And moving this decimal point 1 place over will bring it all the way over to the right. But that means we have to move the decimal point 1 place over on the inside as well. Because what you do on the outside, you must do on the inside, okay? And now we have 159.6 divided by 38. The next step is to place a decimal point above, right above the decimal point on the inside. And now we're ready to begin. 38 goes into 159 4 times. And 38 times 4 is 152. So let's subtract. 159 minus 152 is 7. And let's bring down that 6 and divide. 38 goes into 76 2 times. And 2 times 38 is 76. Okay? So our final answer is 4.2. Next we have 0.75 divided by 0.05. The first step is to rewrite this problem in the other division format. 0.05 goes into 0.75. Now take a look at this problem. We have a decimal point in 0.05, right? Because 0.05 has a decimal point, you must first move the decimal point to the right end of the number. That is step number 2. So let's count the steps. 1, 2. 2 steps to the right, and the decimal point is now at the right end of this number. Now remember, because we moved the decimal point 2 steps to the right, we must also move the decimal point 2 steps to the right for 0.75 as well. What you do on the outside, you must do on the inside. And now that we've moved the decimal point, we can clean this problem up. Now, after moving the decimal point in 005 to the right, 5 is now a whole number. This number is no longer a decimal. This is 005. It's simply 5 as a whole number. And so 0, 0 is not necessary. We do not need these 2 zeros behind the number 5. And we also do not need the decimal point either, because there are no numbers after the decimal point. So it's simply 5. In 0.75, the decimal point is not necessary because, again, there are no numbers after the decimal point. So 75 is just a whole number. Therefore, we can remove the decimal point and we have 75. Our new problem is 5 goes into 75, or 75 divided by 5. And this is easy. 5 goes into 75 15 times. 0.75 divided by 0.05 is 15. In our last example, I gave you a scenario of when there was a decimal point on the inside and the outside. For our next 2 examples, there will be a decimal point on the outside only. So let's get started. Our first example is 6 divided by 1.5. Because there's a decimal point on the outside, we must move it all the way over to the right. And it takes 1 decimal place over to get that decimal point all the way over to the right. But that means we have to move the decimal point on the inside as well. Assuming that there's a decimal point in front of the number 6, let's move it 1 place over. Okay? And this is where it would go. That means that we now have to add a 0. And our new problem will read 60 divided by 15. And 15 goes into 60 4 times. So 4 is our answer. Our next example is 72 divided by 0.3. Again, we're going to move the decimal point all the way over to the right, which is 1 place over. And we're going to do the same thing on the inside as well. We're going to move the decimal point over 1 place. So that means we will add a 0. And our new problem is 720 divided by 3. And 720 divided by 3 is 240. Now, I'm going to give you a scenario of when there is a decimal point on the inside only. There are no decimal points on the outside. Our first example is 1.56 divided by 3. Let's start by placing a decimal point right above the decimal point on the inside. 3 goes into 1 0 times. So we're going to use that 1 again and say 3 goes into 15 5 times. 3 goes into 6 2 times. So our answer is 0.52. Our next example is 2.135 divided by 7. Let's place a decimal point right above the decimal point on the inside and divide. 7 goes into 2 0 times, so we will use that 2 again and say 7 goes into 21 3 times. 7 goes into 3 0 times, so we'll use that 3 again and say 7 goes into 35 5 times. So our answer is 0.305. And that was our last example. Thank you so much for watching. And if you found this video tutorial helpful, please give it a thumbs up. And remember to subscribe to this channel for more helpful math tutoring. I am uploading videos each and every week, so please check back soon, guys. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.